I love following along certain small details in the Bible that are actually not small at all. There is the mention of I call it the purple thread that can be pulled through the Bible. But what I really mean is there's the mention of this purple plant called hyssop in 3 significant places in the Bible that point to this beautiful reality of who Jesus is. Exodus 12, starting in verse 12, it starts to cast this vision for the Passover. It says, "On that same night I will pass through Egypt, strike down every firstborn of both people and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you." Then the instruction is given for how the Jewish people need to put the Passover lamb blood on their house so that they will not be affected. It says, starting in verse 21, "Then Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, 'Go at once and select the animals for your families and slaughter the Passover lamb.'" Verse 22, "Take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood, and put the blood on the top and both sides of your door frame." So hyssop was the paintbrush at Passover. Now let's flip over to Psalm 51:7. And in the middle of David's confession and cleansing from his sin that occurred with Bathsheba, in Psalm 51:7 it says this, "Cleanse me with hyssop and I will be clean. Wash me and I will be whiter than snow." In other words, it was the paintbrush at Passover, and hyssop is also the purification tool in the middle of David's story. I like to think of Passover as problems placed on us. And then this situation with David is problems within us. But then don't miss this glorious pointing to Jesus, which the scriptures do so effectively. In John chapter 19, starting in verse 28, we find Jesus on the cross, and it says, "Later, knowing that everything had now been finished so that scripture would be fulfilled, Jesus said, 'I am thirsty.' A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge on it and put the sponge on a stalk of hyssop plant and lifted it up to Jesus's lips." In other words, Jesus is the promise fulfilled from the problems placed on us and the problems within us. And the hyssop plant is this beautiful detail that was there for it all.